So in this video I'm going to talk about dividing integers. Now I won't spend very long on the models. They're not as intuitive as the multiplying ones. They're a little bit more roundabout. So this would be what a dividing statement might look like in the model. So we start off where we've got, remember our reds are positive, so we have 10 positive integers, so we got positive 10. And we can see here in the other one, there's a couple different ways we can look at it. So we know that we're starting with positive 10, but then we have options after that. So what I could do is I could say, well, look, it's been split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal groups. So I could write this as divided by positive 5 because I've split it into 5 equal groups, and inside of each group is 2 positive integer chips. So I could write it as positive 10 divided by positive 5 is equal to positive 2. Another way I could write it is I could think instead of what's inside each group. So I know that I have 5 equal groups, but when I look at it, each group has 2 of those positives inside of it. So I could write it as positive 10 divided by positive 2, and that would then mean I'm getting 5 groupings of positive 2. So we can look at it either way. Now this is also not the only way I could have modeled it. I could have modeled it by circling the other groups. Okay, so I could have gone like this and changed it. And now my division statements actually don't change, but they say different things. So this one now says I take my positive 10 and I'm splitting into 2 equal groups, and each group now has 5 positives inside of it. And then conversely, starting with positive 10 and splitting into groups of positive 5, because I have positive 5 in each group, there are now 2 groupings in total. Okay, so the division model can work in a couple of different ways, so you can argue it in different ways if you like. Okay, it's a little less clear with the negatives. Okay, so with this one, again, I'm starting with negative 8 because I have 8 blue integer chips. And with this one, if you look, I've split them into 4 equal groups. So I'm saying I'm splitting or dividing into 4 equal groups. Now when I split into those groups have to be positive. So I can split into positive groups. And inside each of those groups, oh, I got a software update ready to install. How exciting. Each of those groups is going to give me negative 2 inside of those groupings. Okay. I could also look at it and say negative 8 divided by, and I'm going to say split it into groups that have a size of negative 2. And if I split it into groups that are a size of negative 2, I will then have 4 groupings in total. Okay, so again, I can argue it either way. Now this one would not work out as nicely as my other one if I decided to switch. So I'll leave different colors here. If I decided to group them in green instead, then my statement would be negative 8, and then I'm splitting into 2 positive groups, and there are now 4 negatives in each group. Or I'm taking my negative 8 and I'm splitting into groups that are a size of negative 4, and that would give me 2 groups in total. Okay. Now hopefully you've noticed as I've gone through some of these, really look, positive, 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 right? And then when I got onto the negative one, right? Negative, positive gave me a negative answer. Negative, negative gave me a positive answer. Negative, negative gave me a positive answer. Negative, positive gave me a negative answer. It kind of follows those same rules that we had with multiplying. So really, it is the same kind of idea, right? So I'm looking at the signs first. Negative divided by positive, they are different, so I'm going to get a negative answer. And then 15 divided by 3 gives me 5. Okay, same idea. Positive divided by positive, so I'm going to get a positive answer. And 20 divided by 4 equals 5. Okay, and then negative divided by negative, same sign. Positive answer, 16 divided by 8, that would give me 2. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't change it to yellow. Lots of mistakes in this video. Sorry, guys. So really, it's the same as what we had before. Now notice I don't have the question mark this time. I fixed it, so you're welcome. Okay, so dividing integers. If I have the same sign and I'm dividing, I'm going to get a positive answer. If I have a different sign when I'm dividing, then I'm going to get a negative answer. This is the exact same thing as we had with multiplication. It's the exact same process, just instead of multiplying the two integers, we're dividing the two integers. Now, that also means I can expand that even further. So just like we had with multiplying, if I'm dividing a bunch of things in a row, if I have an even number of negatives, I will get a positive answer. If I have an odd number of negatives, I will get a negative answer, just like we had with the multiplication. And if you didn't watch the multiplication video, my goodness, are you missing out? I would go back and watch that one. So, if I was to do something a little bit more complex, okay, negative 100 divided by negative 2 divided by negative 5, I'm simply going to start by counting how many negative signs I have. 1, 2, 3 negatives in this one here. 3 is an odd number. That means my answer is going to be negative. And now I simply do the division. So if you're not strong with division, you can use your calculator to help you, but you deal with the sign. So you have to deal with the sign. Okay? So looking at this now, 100 divided by 2, so 100 cut in half is 50. I take that answer of 50, divide by 5, and 50 divided by 5 is 10. So my answer is negative 10, because those 3 negative signs give me a negative answer. Let's look at this next one. This is crazy. Definitely don't want to model it, right? But if I had to start off with negative 64 divided by positive 2 divided by negative 2 divided by positive 2 divided by negative 2 divided by negative 2. That's a lot. Let's figure out whether it's positive or negative first. I've got 1 negative sign, 2 negative signs, 3, 4 negative signs in my expression. So I have 4 negatives. Remember, you are counting how many negative signs you have, not how many integers you have. So I have 4 negatives. That means my answer will be positive. Now I'll just go step by step in my division. 64 cut in half gives me 32. 32 cut in half gives me 16. 16 cut in half gives me 8. 8 cut in half gives me 4. And then 4 cut in half gives me 2. So I get positive 2 as my final answer. So the real key takeaway in multiplying and dividing integers: count how many negative signs you have. An even number will give you a positive answer. An odd number of negatives will give you a negative answer. And remember, you're counting negative signs, not how many integers there are.